Welcome to another episode of TC2000 training videos, part of a full series of tutorials brought to you by daytradersetups.com. This video is how to create scanners, the basics of getting started. We're going to cover things to think about as you're naming your scanners, some criteria you might want to use universally through all your scanners, and then how to build the right scan list. If you're wanting to do a big broad scan of all stocks in the market, how to put together that list that'll be complete for you. So let's get started. Now this video is pretty intense and pretty long. I spend the first couple of minutes just talking about charts and scanners in general. Then I start talking about how to build your scan list so that as you create your scans, you got a easy way to change what you're scanning without having to go and modify each and every scan that you build. So you really need to watch the first part as well on how to set up big scan list so that then you can modify your scanners in about 2 minutes without having to touch each and every scanner that you've created. That being said, I'm telling you this information. If you want to move forward to building the scans, go over about 25 minutes into the video and I'll start actually showing the steps to actually building the scanner itself. And the only thing you'll need to know then is how to do your scan list, and you can go back and watch the beginning of this video later if you'd like. But definitely suggest you do watch the first 25 minutes. But if you're limited on time, you're trying to get some basics right here, go about 25 minutes in and we're going to start talking about the scanners themselves. Let's get started. Okay, the first thing I want to show you is everybody can set up their layouts like any way they want to. Depends on how many monitors you have. This is a chart I just popped in here, and it's actually locked inside this window, and you could, of course, you'd want to put it somewhere in a frame, but I personally keep my charts popped out. They're all floating on other monitors. And then I take my I'm gonna bring this down real small. I take my tabs that you see across the bottom. They're the different set of scans that I go to different times of the day. And when you move from one tab to another, it automatically refreshes all your scans. I'm not sure how many. It used to be 5 streaming. I believe we can have 15 now on the platinum package. That's being able to take your scan and have it stream. I got too many running right now, so I can't add any more. I could turn this off and then you can refresh your scans. But once you build your scans, and two reasons I like to do the floating chart, if you got at least one other monitor, you can have your charts floating out. That way, every time you swap tabs, what happens is your scans refresh themselves, and the time just changed to the exact time that it is now, even if they're not streaming. So you could, if you've got 4 groups of scans you like to run, you could actually open those tabs up and then move from tab to tab, and every time you change tabs they refresh. And I actually like them refreshing in that manner a little more than I do streaming, because when they're streaming you're constantly getting a resort going on here, and it's moving the symbols around as you're trying to click on them. It may shift because it brought another symbol or two into the scan results. So I actually like them not to be streaming, so that when they come in they're stable and you can go up and down your list, or you can just toggle on your results. You can toggle through your your results and look at your charts, you can flag the symbols as the ones you're interested in, and that's how I trade. I create a flag list. It's on a different window, and I flag the ones I'm interested in, and then as I work through them and I'm not interested anymore, I just maybe set an alert on them while I'm looking at them, and then I just take them off my flag list and get them out of my way. I try to keep my flag list more the 3 or 4, maybe even as high as 10 stocks that I'm trying to watch and stay aware of. And you got columns you can add to your scans. We're going to do that in the next video, how to add those columns and what they can tell you about your scan criteria. Make you look at the better stocks first based on what you're looking for. But first I'm going to give you the very, very basics. And setting up your scans. Now the way I do mine, if you choose to do something like this where you just keep nothing but your scans inside your window or your tab window, not floating out, you could have 4 columns of scans if you wanted to, and then a chart if you don't have the space to have your chart floating out. Or you may have a short term, maybe a 5-minute chart in here or 2-minute, and have your bigger time frame charts floating out. So it's okay to have a chart, but each time you're moving from one tab to another, the system's having to load whatever you got in the tab. So by having the charts floating out, it's not putting any strain on the resources because those charts are already there. They didn't have to reload. They were there to begin with. Nothing changed as you changed your tabs. But getting started with your scans, the way I do mine is I do whatever I'm looking for on a long scan, I do the exact opposite for it on a reverse scan, and I name them accordingly so that I understand what I was scanning for. I put my short scans on the right, and I put my long scans on the left, and I usually do the smaller time frames at the top, the bigger time frames at the bottom, as far as just a way to lay them out and try to be uniform in whatever you decide to do. You can shift your columns or your scans around once you get them in here just by sliding to show all your columns. Back and forth you can resize, and you can resize top to bottom. If you're running a shorter time frame scan on 5s or something, you're going to have a lot more results on your scans. First thing you got to do is start with some basics, and I'm going to just show you how do you get to your conditions. First, I'm going to pop this out. First, I'm going to duplicate it because I don't want to mess my scan up. And what I just did was I clicked right here, duplicate, it popped this scan out. So now if I want to take this scan and create one off the next criteria, I can build a scan on 13s or 10s or whatever, and I can go in here and I can take my criteria and I can just change it to 15s, go down my criteria and change them all to 15s, and then I've got the same scan duplicated on a 15-minute time frame rather than 13. I can resave it and name it accordingly. But the first thing you got to do is you got to have a scan list of stocks that you want to scan, and then you need to have some filters. So I use these 4 sets of filters every scan I build, and I'm going to show you how to set that up from scratch. But your scan list is really important. If you just say I'm going to scan the US markets, you go to the list to scan, select it, and it pops up all your choices. If you say US stocks, US common stocks, that's what you're scanning. I got 30 results right there on this particular scanner, which at the end of the day, there's a lot of things move and make more things show up on the last 20 minutes than they do normally during the day on some of your scans. Now I'm going to change this to SP500, which is obviously less stocks, and you got 16 results. And I'm going to throw you another one in there on maybe the NASDAQ. I can find that here. Now this is just a NASDAQ 100, which only gives you 3 results. I personally scan between 200 and 400 symbols. So I have multiple scan lists that I've created. My top 100, 150, 400, 5,000. Sometimes I'm scanning for something extreme that's not going to be a lot of results on, then I might scan the 5,000. Especially if you're looking for some of these little stocks that might be popping at the open. You might want to be scanning a bigger list. But this is why you need to build a scan list and not just use the default, and I'm going to show you that part first. I'm going to come in with my 400 list here, and we move to 18 scans. On my scan list, I believe we had more than that. Had 8, I'm sorry. I don't even remember what scan list I had in here to begin with now. Let's see. Anyway, here's what you got to do. If you're looking for, you want to scan maybe some stocks that you've handpicked. I have one I call my special watch. And of course, you've got your favorites, you got your flags, and you know from the chart, I'm going to blow this back up for you. From the chart, over in the right hand corner here, right next to your RT for your real time, you got a little flag, and you can flag a symbol. If you noticed, MAR, the flag just came in there, and I can unflag it from the chart as well. So as I'm going through my scan results, I'm flagging what I want to watch. That's not putting them on my special watch, that's just putting them on what I might want to be trading. You can also click here and add it to favorites. So you've got 2 different special watch lists that you can add to right off the chart. You know, maybe it's something you look at in the mornings. Here's how I do mine. I flag what I'm interested in trading, but as I'm looking at items in the mornings that maybe are moving pre-market, maybe they had earnings yesterday, something I was watching the day before might have already been on my favorites list because I want to watch it again tomorrow and I didn't want to forget about it, and I didn't want to have to find it in a scan list. The flags is what I'm really interested in trading right now. But I do this special watch so that when you got stocks, maybe like this EPZM that's been moving around a lot lately, and I'm going to throw it on a 30-minute just real quick so you can see the kind of price action that's been going on this in the last several days. It's, it was $12, it was $14, it went to $15.50 and sold off. This is, one day it sold off, and then yesterday it went up real well. And I'm showing that to show you it might be a special instance of some stocks that you throw on here because they had a lot of movement in the last 2 or 3 days. Social media, what I call them, social stocks, everybody's pump and dump, whatever you want to call them. But if they're stocks you're trying to focus in on for some reason, I had TAP on here because it had been selling off a lot of action on it in the special watch list. And that's what you see scrolling across the top here. It's just the odd stocks that I don't normally scan, but I've decided I want to watch them for the next few days. I keep this list kind of small. I can go through it daily, take some off that I'm not interested in anymore. I can add some that I saw during the day very quickly. You got something on the chart that came up for whatever reason. You're looking at it pre-market, you looked at it yesterday. You can just right click your chart, copy to. I put SP in just then to filter this list down, and I throw it on my special watch list. In this case, it was already there. For favorites and flags, of course, you just do it here. But now for detail scanning, for bigger scans, you're looking at a bigger, broader bunch of stocks. You need to take and create you a monster list. And here's how you do that. You say create personal watch list, and it'll just pop you one out and you name it. going to call it test. I'm actually going to cancel it. I don't want to name it. But you start with what you're trying to create. So I did mine top 5,000. It's more or less 5,000 symbols. So I'm going to just pop that out for you. Oh, I did the wrong one. I'll get the right one on here. All right, there's 4,800 symbols in here. Now, how I created this list, I want to see one thing. How I created this list, and what made me create this list, was I was run across Baidu one day. I was trading U.S. common stocks, or scanning, and it wasn't on the list. So I created this list two ways. First, I go under Watchlist. I open up U.S. stocks. I started this list out with nothing in it. I take this entire list, right click, copy all to, and then you select your list you want to save it to. And I, in this case, copied it to top 5,000. So once I was finished with that, then I went and opened another watch list and type in NAS, and you want to come down here and find this list right here, NASDAQ Composite Index Constituents. 1,900 stocks in there. Baidu's on this list, and it wasn't on the U.S. common stocks. So now I copy all of these symbols. Copy all to, same process. Go down and find your top 5,000. You can type of letters in, which will filter this down for you. And that's how I created my top 5,000 list. Now, then I took that and I did some filters on it. You know, if you don't like to trade stocks that are over $50, then you take this, scan your list down to a smaller list, because the smaller list you're running, the faster your scanners are going to work. But they work pretty fast even with 5,000 symbols. But when the market's really moving, especially early, you can bog down with that many symbols in all of your scanners at one time. You know, when I open up this tab, you see here, these are 3 wide of longs, 3 wide of shorts, and 3 deep. That's 18 scanners running at one time. So every time I change tabs, I'm refreshing 18 to 24 scanners at one time. And this doesn't bog down. Most of these other platforms I've tried through the years. It's been a long time since I used anything but TC2000, and that's the main reason I ended up with TC2000. You put 200 symbols in some of these other platforms and they lock up. You can't get your results, or it takes them forever to bring you back what you're looking for. And then I like the custom criteria that you can create in TC2000 as well. That's what you got to do, is start your list. So that's how I do these two, NASDAQ Composite Constituents, U.S. Common Stocks. I copy them together, and I got my top 5,000. That's my beginning steps. Then you take your filter process and you create you some more. Now, like I said, mine are named top 400, top 150, go to my personal maybe. I got top 100, top 400, top 5,000. And I got one I've called top 5,000 filtered, where I filter out a lot of stuff that I don't want to waste my time scanning, that, you know, maybe penny stocks and no volume stocks. So I cut that list down. I'll pop it out just to see how many I've got in. It's only got 895 stocks in it out of those 4,800 I started with. So I have a filtered list there as well that's already pre-filtered based on my criteria, but still against the 5,000 stocks. It's not a scan, it's a list that I created by filtering these stocks out. Now, when you're building your scanners, again, I've got top 100, 400, 5,000, and I got another list I call my core list. I like to scan the markets as well, so I got a list I call markets. I actually keep this open on my desktop at all times. I'm not that interested in the price level or where it is percentage wise or how many dollars up it is. I've got these columns that you see back here telling me a little about what the market's doing, if it's turning, if it's breaking out. And from me looking at my watch list with the columns, I can focus in and I may see the transports are running, and I'll go start looking at some transport stocks. I do that quite a bit. I keep the AD lines in that list. It'll give you a little pre-signal as to the market. So when I'm scanning my normal scanners, I have these items in there scanning, and a lot of them will pop up. Well, if all of a sudden I got the market breaking out along with 6 other stocks, I might want to find more longs if the market's coming into a move, which we don't get a lot. We get a lot of chop. But when the market's making those moves, you want to be looking for some longs to go with the market. I may have 4 to 6 trades going on at one time, and a couple of them make 25 cents, a couple more make 60 cents, a couple more make $1.40 per share. So I pick me out some stocks that's going with the market, and then I start moving my stops up and just stop out along the way, and I'm going to end up with 2 or 3 really good trades if the market continues to surge. And we get that condition every now and then. We get a big sell-off with a big bounce or something in the market, and you'll find a lot of those stocks that run with the market. And you got to be prepared to move to that. And by having the market on your scanners, you realize what's going on. Most of the time, nothing's going on. You're just scanning your charts and trading your stocks rather than the market. But I take my list that we've been discussing here. I've got my markets, I've got my top whatever, and I got, close this scan back out, my special watch, which is that handful of stocks that really are probably, some of them may be outside my normal scan list and some may be part of my normal scan list. To create your watch list as you build your scanners, here's what I personally do. I have another list you don't see here called my core list. It's probably 140 stocks. On my scanners though, I use scan list, and I have another one called scan 2. And every scan I have built, unless it's something that I'm looking for extreme moves in volume or price movement or surges, that I might be scanning the 5,000 symbols that, for the day, more and more I'm looking on a daily kind of thing of something that was breaking out, and then I go through those and I add them to my special watch list or to my favorites, something I want to be sure to watch the next few days. But if my normal scans during the trading day, I'm either scanning one of these 2 lists called scan list or scan 2. Scan 2 is generally a bigger list of stocks. So I'm going to start out my early scans. I may be just on my core list. How I create these on a daily basis is I take my watch list, I open up my scan list. It's got 258 items yesterday. Now notice this EPZM is on this list. It came off the special watch list. It's not normally what I scan. It's not one of my normal stocks that I'm scanning, but it was put on that list because of the market action. What I do every day is I take this scan list, I remove all symbols. So now I'm not scanning anything on my scanners. Then I start with my basic core list, 237 symbols. I copy that to my scan list. So now my scanners are scanning 237 symbols. Then I take my markets and I add that to that list. Same exact list. I already had markets in my core list because I could tell it only went up one number. Then I go to my special watch list. I'm going to copy all of those symbols to my scan list. So now I've got 252 stocks in the scan list. Then my other scanners are running off a bigger list called Scan 2. 442 stocks in there. I'm going to delete all those at the end of my day. And then I'm going to take my top 400 list. I'm going to copy all of those symbols to Scan 2. Oops, hit the wrong button, hit remove. I want to do that. I do have backups of these on text files in case you mess something up. You export everything to a text file. I'll show you how to do that as well. I'm going to copy all these symbols to Scan 2. So now I got a bigger list on some of those scanners that are looking for more extreme moves in stocks that I'm not going to find a lot with my first 200. And then I'm going to take my special watch, copy it in there to Scan 2. I'll take my markets, copy those in there. So now I got my 2 complete list. Only thing missing is my favorites. I'll pop my watch list out. I'm going to grab my favorites, which is for a very, very short list. I got, looks like about 6 symbols on there. I'm going to copy both of those to both. I'm going to copy that to both lists. Now, I'm ready to do business. What's got to happen tomorrow morning is as I'm looking at new stocks pre-market that I might be interested in today, they're either showing up on my favorites or I'm adding them to the special list because I want to hang on to them for a few more days. You know, that stock that moved from $5 to $9 today or yesterday, it may not do anything for 3 days, might sell off, and then it runs again. So a lot of times I like to hang on to those for a longer period of time. So the next morning I copy my favorite list again because I've added some to it. I copy my special list again to both of these lists. Now I'm ready to do business. At the end of every day, I clear these out and rebuild them. It takes about 3 minutes. Now, I'm going to show you how to back these up to text files. Don't need to back up my scan list. I need to back up my 400 and my 5,000 and so forth. So I'll just do Core right here since I've already got it open. You just go, click on your symbol, copy all to, just like we did before. Click Clipboard. Grab you a notepad. Now what I do like to do first, I'm going to do this again, sort them in alphabetical order. Then copy all to your clipboard. Grab you a notepad, paste them in there. There's all your symbols that you can import if you needed to. I take this off the top, file, save as. I'm going to save it exactly what I have right here, core scan list. I have my top 400, my top 150, my top 100, my 5,000, all saved in text files on my computer. So if I need them later or I want to share them with someone, I can do that. I don't need to save that, I already have that. So those are the basics of creating your scan list, and if you'll do this, then you're going to end up with a very workable plan for building your scans around. And I've showed you how I take those and I create these two scan lists, and this is what I'm scanning unless it's something very special. So I don't need these open once I built them. I don't have to see them anymore. I can close all those out. I got what I want on them, and I'm ready to move on and build my scans. Okay, the first thing we want to do is start our basic scanner, and this is the areas you're going to be building in the scanner. So you go to Easy Scan, create a new scan. It wants to know what list you want to scan, which will usually be your default. I'm going to put it on US stocks. For now, and I want you to look at the basics I have here. I'm using a price history filter, a moving average volume filter, and then daily volume. Just because a stocks trades 500,000, 600,000 is usually what I use for daily moving average of 20 days, and that's pretty much a month worth of trading. I use a daily filter just for today as well as a minimum. I don't want a stock popping up on my scanner with 30,000 shares and I don't notice it, and I go in and trade it because I like the way the candles look. Even at 100,000 is not very much, but if I scan it early, I may not have much over 100 in the first few minutes, or the first even 30 minutes, depending on the stock. The last thing you want to do is get in a day trade on a stock that nobody's interested in. If you got a stock with 30,000 shares, that may be plenty of liquidity for you to get out, but if it's not no more interest in that, it's probably not going to move very far. So that's why I put that on there, and really I like 200,000 better, but a lot of times I got some early scans, and I don't want to miss something that may have 200,000 by 10:15, but it don't have it 9:45. So that's the basic things I use there. And now you can filter your list now that you're scanning by other criteria as well. And if you hadn't watched the early part of the video, I build this scan list of mine daily off my other list that are already filtered to a point. But even if I've got a stock that's on my list and I know it normally has 500 or 600,000 average daily volume, and it goes into a period that it's not trading much, then I don't want to be bothered with it. So it can be on my list but fall back off of my scans because the volumes got real thin, and then when it picks back up later, it'll start showing back up in my scanners. So that's one of the reasons I have that. And even though my scan list are mostly over $50 stocks, a lot of times I add stocks that are not that high, especially with the specials that I add and some favorites, some different things you see. So I do put this down very low just for that reason. Most of the symbols in my list are way higher than $3. They're mostly $35 to $50 and up range stocks. The fact that I do add a few special stocks along the way each day or every few days that could be down in a low price range, I want to be able to pick those up on my scanner if I add them to the list. So that's why it's this low. This is a formula that I created. I'm just going to kind of show you an idea. I put this on there as well. So I'm scanning my normal list of 400 stocks, or even if I'm scanning 5,000 stocks, I've got a range I put in here that my ATR, that's what this will tell you, is the average high minus the average low is greater than $1.75. If the ATR is lower than that, I don't even have it come up on my scanners. Filters it out. Unless this next criteria I put in today, the stock's got at least $1's range. So that way, if it's a stock that the ATR is only 40 or 50 cents, but today it's got $1, maybe it's in play. And then I'll go back for previous days, about 4 days back, that the range could be greater than $1.50. I do this for, that's what, the way the formulas work, high minus low, that's today's high minus today's low. High 1 minus low 1 is yesterday. High 2 minus low 2 is 2 days ago. So I go back for 4 days beyond today in any stock that's in my list that had an ATR or a range that day of $1.50. Even though the ATR might be below $1.75 right now, it still allows that stock to come back into play. So that's just a crazy little filter I created, and I use it on every scan I have. And you can see the formula and use it if you like. It doesn't matter to me. But that's a filter that I have, along with my list is already filtered. I'm doing it by price, doing it by volume 2 times. And then the rest of this stuff is stuff I've added unique to the scan. So I'm going to see if I can walk you through this here. We're going to add a condition. Now you can do conditions several ways. This basic condition is going to be on price. So I can go to basic. There's price. Pops up. I want price history greater than $3. Now, I really want a range. Okay, here we go. Is between minimum of $3, maximum $250, and I want it now. So I hit OK. Now I've added that criteria. And I'm going to show you again in case you missed something there. Price, we changed this to is between, and then it gave us the choices, the minimum price, the maximum price. And it is our price history. So now we got that on there. Now this volume, average daily volume, you can just add volume, pretty easy. Volume greater than 100,000. So that was that criteria. The average daily volume, you pretty much got to bring that in off of a volume on the chart. So I'm going to hit OK here. Or you can bring things in from the library. I'm going to add volume to this chart. I don't use volume. I don't recognize the candles, and I'll show you a sample of what I'm talking about in a minute. Let's get the volume on the chart. And then I'm going to put 20-day moving average. So now I can say 20-day moving average, create a scan condition. Now we're building this off the chart this time. 20-day moving average, create a scan condition, moving average greater than 500,000. Got to change it to daily because this chart is set on 30 minutes. Add to. And I'm going to add it to this scan. It gives you this grayed out condition everywhere. Add to conditions. Now, if you want to add the column, that's a different story. You could add to the column. We want it in our conditions. So now we have our list to scan, our price history, our minimum daily volume, and our moving average volume is greater than, I only put it in at 50,000, so I made a mistake. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to change that to 500,000. Change it right here from within the scanner. Now, That took my US common stocks and cut it down to 1,500. And we'll just see how many it was. To begin with, it's 4,800. So now we've filtered this list down. Now it's still having to look at the 4,800 stocks, and it's putting this criteria against them and brought us back 1,500 stocks, which is still way too many. But that's the minimum, and then you can add things to your library, and you can create your conditions, PCF formulas, through different means. You've got choices of custom PCF true indicator, which I use a lot. You got some channel indicators and cumulative indicators that I don't use hardly any, and then you can do a custom PCF that's not a true or false statement. This is like an oscillator. Could be the closing price, could be the high price, could be RSI, all kind of different things. But if you're going to say RSI greater than X, then you'd use something like this criteria, and it'd be a true false statement. Or you could do your oscillator and then add a moving average to that, and then do your crossovers on that. Or you can build your own custom library entry. So in the case of this ATR, go into library conditions, create a custom formula, and you can do whatever you want to. You can put it on daily, 15 minute, 10 minute, and that's just what it's going to default to when you add it. You can edit it once it comes up on your scanner. So it's not like you're locked into whatever you put on this condition in this library when you build it. But you build it, you'll get a button that says you can test it, and then you can name it. Now I'm going to go to the one I was showing you, the range and the ATR, and I've got it saved under daily, and I'm going to select that. Now I can just go over here and edit the formula, and that's not the formula I had. The formula I had was one that was minimum, and it goes out. That's not the formula I had either. I think I've altered that on my this has got some percentage items in it, and I don't have that actually in my scanner. I'm going to look at what I did have real quick. It is called range / ATR minimum. Go back here. I'm going to try to add that. Same place we was looking in the library. I can pull up what I created, and it was this range ATR minimum. Now, it's got more things than I actually am using, so you can actually modify this on the chart, and that's what I did. I took my big formula that had everything you saw, but when I got right here, I just took that part out. That's simple. Didn't change my library item. I can test it, make sure I don't have any errors in it. If I had some kind of error with the wrong amount of commas or brackets, it would have told me there. So it's fine, it worked. And then I can add it to my scanner. Now I'll cut that 1,500 symbols down to 592. You can build your library item. Go search out of your library, which is what we just did from within the scanner. If you bring it in here, you can edit, you can scan by itself. It'll pop out a window and it only scans that one criteria. Or you just click on it and it'll ask you what you want to do with it. And then you can say add conditions. So we've added it twice now, but I'm going to take it back off. You get something on there too many times, you just take it off by clicking the X. Now, this is my basic starting scan, except for the list. I use this on every single thing. You could actually save this as start scanner or default scanner. Put you a name on it and start with it each and every time. Now, I generally will start with different column sets for my long that I have on my shorts. I'm looking at different things that I want to know about in my columns, and that's going to be in the next video on how to create your columns. So I'll get my columns that I want for my long and my column that I want for my short, and then I'll load in this default scanner, and you can just right click and you can say save easy scan, since it's never been saved before, and it'll give you a choice what you want to name it, and you can name it your basic starting scanner or whatever you want to call it. Now that's just your basic getting started. Then you got to add your criteria. Anytime you try to close a scan that you change, they ask you, do you want to save it? In this case I don't, so I'm going to discard my changes. And that's something you need to pay attention to. You could take, I got this scanner and it's scanning on the VWAP, but I got it in 15-minute scan, I got it in 30-minute scan, and all these look the same as far as got all the things we were just looking at in, and then I added 3 more items. And once you create a scan and you got it, I got this one on 13-minute criteria on these 3 items, I can duplicate it by clicking right here, and then I can modify it by going back in, clicking on the little funnel looking icon, edit your conditions, and I can go in and modify these to my 15-minute time frame or 30-minute time frame, whatever I want to. Each one 13, excuse me. And then once I've done that, missed something. I've got them all set to 15 minutes now, so now I'm going to end up with less stocks than what I had up here. Now I can right click this and say save as and rename it to 15-minute. I don't want to do that because I already had it. Now if you modify something or you're playing around with something and you go to close it, it's going to ask you, you want to save it. Well, you don't want to save it because it's going to, wherever you, if you go in and you make some changes, this is a great thing about TC2000. You got this scanner, maybe you've got it in 3 different tabs. You got other scans in the other tabs different than maybe the first tab, but you want to keep this scanner with you on most of your tabs, your favorite scanner or so forth, and you just always have it in the tab with the other scans that you create. Anytime you make a change to this anywhere in the system and you save it, it saves them all. They're all updated automatically. So if you go in, you change the scan list to US stocks, and now I do files, it's got a little star, it means it hadn't been saved since it was changed. Now if I right click, say save as, and I save this scan to the same name I had it, every single place it's located throughout TC2000, any other tabs you have it in, it is updated there as well. You don't have to go find them. And now I'm going to show you about the scan list that you did. If you didn't watch the first part of the video on how to build your list, I'm just going to show you the real basic idea behind the early part of the video. I'm going back to my scan list. Now my star went away because it's not modified anymore. I take a scan list, and in the early part of the video you can see how it's created, and I create it daily from other lists I already have. If in the middle of the day I'm not getting any scan results just because we're in a lot of chop and it's a scan I want to be watching, I can just go right here and save this, change this to a different list, and it brings in more results because I'm scanning a bigger list of stocks. But that's not what I want to do. I want to change my scan list. I don't want to change my permanent list of stocks, which is my top 400, my top 150, my core list, my top 5,000. But I need to get more stuff in here. So I quickly, by using one uniform name, and in the early part of the video I tell you that I use two. I have one called scan list. It's normally a smaller list of stocks. I scan around 150 to 250 stocks. And then I have another scan list. It's called scan 2. That on criteria that maybe like breakout scans, early in the morning I'm getting too many results. If I'm scanning 400 stocks, so I want to scan less. So I might have my early scanner set to the scan list on 200 symbols, but later in the day I might want to look at this same breakout on a bigger list of stocks because not as many are breaking out at lunchtime. So I would want a bigger list, so I have those later day scans set to scan 2. But if I'm scanning, I'm not getting any results, and I really want to use this scanner, then I can take and open up my scan list. I've got 257 stocks on it. I've already got some special stocks I added to it, some favorite stocks I added to it this morning, and that's in the early part of the video. It tells you how I do that. And then I want to get this bigger. I'm going to fix this back tonight or in the morning before tomorrow's business day, but for right now I need more symbols. I go to my top 400 list, I pop it out. Now here I got 257 symbols. Here I got 417. Many of them are duplicates. I right click, copy all to. I find my scan list. I typed in SC to make my list smaller. Find my scan list. Now it's got 444 stocks in it. Now when I did that, I just updated this list. So it's got 9 answers. I don't know if it's going to have any more or not. We're going to refresh it. Now it's got 19. By not even touching my scanner, I just increased the number of symbols that I'm scanning, so I got more results. And that's why I used the system that I described in the early part of the video for setting up my scan list. Once I modify that list, every scan in my entire system just got modified. I'll show you right here. We got 44 stocks. We're going to refresh. Now we got 70 because this one's scanning the scan list as well. I just added more symbols with that simple process of copying, opening the 2 scan lists, the 2 watch list, scan list, and the top 400. I added more symbols to the list, and instantly every scan in my entire system that's scanning scan list just updated themselves to more symbols. Now, the scan list 2, I can do that as well. If I'm not getting any answers there, I can go to my top 5,000, copy symbols from there into that, and all of a sudden I'm scanning 5,000 symbols instead of the 400 and something I was scanning on scan list 2. Or I could pop out my top 5,000, do a quick scan of those for some criteria that you may want to look at. Maybe you say, I need some more stocks. I'm looking for stuff reversed, and I'm only interested in stuff that's the high day. So you go in and you filter those out, and then you take your result and copy that to scan list 2. So instead of adding 5,000 symbols, you add 312 more. So there's a lot of ways you can do that, and then you can fix those back the next morning. At the end of the day, you take scan list 2 and scan list, you delete every symbol from them, and you build it again from your master list of scanners that I'll show you how to set up in the beginning of the video. Alright, the next part is going to be adding conditions beyond what we've done so far. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you for watching our videos and ask you to subscribe to our channel. You can of course use the subscribe button, or you can type join.daytradersetups.com to subscribe. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at daytradersetups and visit our website at daytradersetups.com. Okay, now the next part you can add from indicators in the library. You can build from your charts, and I'm adding something to a chart I recently built that I wanted to get back on that chart, so I've started that process already, and I'm going to do the last couple of steps and let you see how that works. This is something I call my quick alerts. I actually have a video on how to do this, and I want to show you this volume thing we were talking about earlier and show you why I use that rather than these volume bars. And then you can create scans from things you create and add to the chart. Now you can add things to a chart that you don't want to see while you're trading, but you want to use them in your scans. And what I do when I build a chart that's built around a particular set of scan criteria, I'll save that chart to a particular name that lets me know what it applied to it. But I also, in the last part of the name, I put builder. So if I'm doing something off of stochastics maybe, which I don't use, but you might, and you could save that as your scan stochastics builder. So you could go back and find that chart later. And I have a lot of charts that have the word builder in them. I don't use them while I'm trading, but I use them to build my scans from. I like to build right off the chart. And a lot of things you can do with custom PCFs, and I'm fixing to show you that right now on this little simple volume thing. I have recreated this quick alerts, and you notice you don't see any bars up in this area other than the volume. And the reason you don't is I have the plot opacity turned off. If I turn it back on, you can see the green lines up. This is closed greater than closed 2. So every time that was true, this was up. I don't need to see all this. I'm just using it for an alert system. So I have it turned down so I can't see it. The only thing I see in that area has to do with the volume. But I just let the volume share this same little slot, so to speak. So if I'm trading and I'm watching this candle right here, and I want to be alerted if it takes this high out, I can just simply say create alert, and it says close greater and close 1 is greater than 0. Well, these are true false statements. False is 0, true is 100. So I don't have to modify anything in here. I just hit create alert. So what it just created was an alert for close greater than close 1. Well, it didn't go off right here. It never took that high out of that, or the close out of that bar, so my alert never triggered. But the beauty of doing a type alert like this is if this goes 3 red bars, or in this case it just did 1, when this turned and started back up, now when this bar closed above the close of this bar, it went off immediately. So right here at the bottom, so I was watching that, now it's maybe bottomed out and it's headed up. You might want to do it here, or you might want to take out the high. But now it gets you back to look at it. You could also, if you were watching it here again, you could have said, I want close greater than high 1. I want to make a new high. And that's the way a lot of people trade. So now you say, same thing, set an alert. You just got to hit OK because it's going to be greater than 0 if it's true. Now you see close greater than high 1. So if this candle had taken out high 1, your alert goes off. In the case we have here though, the next bar, as it started up when it took out the high of this candle, now it's closed greater than high 1, your alert goes off and brings you back to your trade setup you were watching earlier. So you can get that on a video called Quick Alerts, creating quick alerts, right on in our training list. But I want to show you how to add this is what I'm trying to do. So I've already added all these in here, and the last one I got to go, I've already did close less than low 1 is close less than low 2. So I'm going to go right in here and I'm going to change that to close less than low 2, and I like to label it the same thing, close less than low 2, and I want these to be red because they're going down. And you see that you can see these areas, and I left that there so you can see how to turn them off. I've got to go in here and edit and turn the opacity down. I don't want to see it. I don't need to see it. And the same thing on this one. I'm going to go in and edit, turn my opacity down. Now I'm going to move this up here. I click move, I overlay it here. It's now with these. Where every time I've overlaid these things, this list keeps jumping out to the side. Just click the little arrow, turn all that crap back off. You don't need to see that. You can toggle through all these different items and have the thing that's being shown, the item you want to see. And I actually do want to see this item, and so I can toggle it off. Hit toggle again, I get all this stuff out here, which is all these different things, levels. 100, 0, 100, 0. So now I start taking them back off. Keep clicking. Doing one at a time, it's moving them. It's working itself through this list. Click it again. Now I got another one that's at 100. True or false. The 0 is false, 100 is true. So I don't care what the value is. I can look at the bar. If the bar's up, it's true. Now I'm back to where I had it. This particular item is telling me the value of this little gray dotted line up here. I trade a lot off this line, and I have one down at the bottom as well. So if I'm watching this stock and I want to know when that gray dotted line is cleared, I've got the line plotted. And the reason I have it down here is so I don't have to mouse over and find out that the value showing in this box, this is called the lower target line, it's 42.95. It's kind of down in this area. You see where I'm mousing over. But also I've got the LT line, which is what I got this label right here. It's got that same value. It's just further down in that list. And 42.95. So I can see that value as I'm trying to trade this. I got that value right here for me so I can see it. I've also got it here for another reason. I like to create alerts off of it. I have an alert where if the high was above it and the low is below it, it alerts me. If it comes down into it, sometimes I trade a lot of bounces off this particular level. Or if it's coming from the bottom and touches it, it alerts me. So if I've got this down here, and I say when I get back here, I'm interested in looking at this, I can just grab this real quick right here, set alert. It's a true false statement. I built my formula around this line's level, and when that crosses up or gets up here and touches it, it'll give me an alert. It may reject it. And then sometimes I like to know if I'm down below it, I have another alert that I created that where it can come up within a few cents of it, I think it's 5 cents, and reject, that it'll give me that alert too, because a lot of times I'm looking to re-short something that's been selling, and it'll bounce a lot of times in this level and it'll reject it. So I've got alerts on my chart that I use all the time. If I look at something, I'm not ready to trade it, It may be a reshort, it may be a long. If it takes out this level, I'll pop me a quick alert on it. I go on to the next stock. I don't even have to flag it. I'm not interested unless that happens. You can also use these items as scans. So I'm adding all of these down here. Now I'm going to throw this volume in there. You can scan the volume, and I'm going to show you why I don't use the candles. Obviously I can look here, and this is up, telling me it was a 10 bar high. This was a 10 bar high. This little bitty candle here was a 10 bar high. If I'm looking at these volume candles, I don't know that's a 10 bar high, but my indicator's telling me it is. Now this one I obviously can tell was very high. Now over here I can pick up these couple that are on the blue peaks. Those are high bars, and they were 10 bar highs. They took out the high of this one. If it was less than 10 bars, I believe it might have been, might not have been. I'm not going to count them. Then right here though, these little candles, they're growing. At a glance, I'm probably not even going to notice that, but if I come to this chart and I see my blue line is up, I know I just had a 10 bar high. Well, now if my blue line remained up, I had another 10 bar high. That means I exceeded the volume of the previous bar. Now my next line, candle, stayed up again. So now I've exceeded the level of my previous bar again. So now I've had growing volume 3 bars in a row. I get a 4th bar, which is obvious to your eye that it is higher, but it's also a 15 bar high. It now exceeded this volume where these first ones did not. So I got a new 15 bar high volume too. And this was going into the end of the day. But you can get this same kind of setup in the middle of the day, and you've got growing volume. Well, a lot of times you're exhaustion on your sellers, and you can catch you a bounce right there. Now in this case it was just a new day. But I'm going to add these two over here. I got to look at them and see how I created them. Alright, it's a formula that I have. It's actually, this is just a dollar value formula. You can find it on the forum on TC2000 There's all kind of formulas you can find. Now I'm going to click. It's called dollar volume. That's all this is. There's dollar volume. It just brought that in. But see, I don't want to see it in this manner. I want to see it as a formula, so I can say it's true or false. So that's why I don't use their dollar volume. I can X this back off this chart right here. I want a formula, so I went on the Word discussion forums and I searched for dollar volume. I found this formula. These folks will help you. Anything is possible. You can search for what you're looking for. You may find it already been discussed. If not, you can start a topic and ask a question. They will answer your question most of the time same day, unless it's after hours. Any other platform, they will charge you for information or have somebody tell you you need to go hire somebody to help you do things. That makes Word and TC2000 invaluable. But we're going to add these two items here real quick. I need to add this is called a PCFs. These are the 4 I showed you earlier. True false statement is going to be this one, and just something like close, high, oscillator will be this one. So I come in, I add this. I'm going to just take this formula off this chart. I got to find it. It's right here. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to go over here and open this up. I'm going to paste it. I'm going to test it. Make sure it works. I need to name it now, and I named it DV10H, dollar value 10 high. I know that's got to do with volume. I'm also going to hold my mouse over here. Now this is a 30-minute chart, so I'm going to put this one on 30. And I just want to compare that I got the same answers. I can see that I got the same answers. That way I know I don't have an error in my formula. I'm going to go ahead and grab this 15 while I'm over here because I'm going to add it as well. Go back over here. I'm going to add another PCF. I'm going to paste my formula in. In this case, I had it colored pink, so I'm going to go ahead and color my line pink. It's a dash line, so I'm going to create my dash. I do want to keep this on because I want to see it on my chart. And I'm going to name it DV15 high. Dollar value 15 high. I know it pertains to volume. So I've got that one. I got to go back and name this one DV10 high. It's blue, just like I want it. I do want it dashed. Now, you got to move this in here. So I click my arrow, overlay. I didn't say scale with, I just overlaid. I'm going to bring this one in, I'm going to overlay it. Now they're on top of each other. This is something that's hard to figure out. On most of the videos they don't show this. You go into here, click this, and go down to scaling. I've got this set to 20 and 50. So I'm going to go in here, I'm going to go to scaling. It's scale by itself. I'm going to say I want a custom. $20 and $50. I'll show you what's going to happen. I'll look at my pink one, scaling. It's set to 20 and 30. Scaling, custom. Now, by the 20 at the bottom, these are set together at the bottom when they're false. But when they're true, one of them goes up higher than the other one. I do need to increase the intensity of these just a little bit because I got this chart on a different screen and it's harder to view. So I like to thicken that up a little bit. Now, I've created all this. I don't really need to know any of these values. It's going to default to something. I'm going to get it back to the purple, which is going to be just a starting right there. This actually the close price is all this purple one was. I just used it to label this set for quick alerts. I just put a formula for close, called it quick alerts, turned it off. I really don't care where it is. It's just a label for what all this is for. Now I've got all this here and I built this. Now I want to move it. I want it up here. When I go to move it, it asks me, do I want to move quick alerts? I want to move everything. The pane. I want to move it all. Move pane. Insert. Now it did all this crap again. I just turned it off. I don't want it. So now I've got it where I want it. I tighten it up. I don't need to take up that much space with it. And I save my chart. So now I've updated that chart. Now it doesn't update all your charts wherever you have them open. If you update a chart and you resave it, you've got to take this, duplicate it, and take it wherever you were using it at before. If you didn't happen to change it where you had it, maybe you've got this chart open on 3 different time frames. To have the update, you've got to duplicate the chart and go swap them out. And that's not hard to do. But it doesn't update them. When you save them, you got to go fix them. So now I've got my chart here with this dollar value. I'm going to show you how to use this. I want to show you how to build something there. I'm actually going to close this out because I don't need it right here. Now we've got the same thing here. We've got our scanner. We're going to duplicate this, and I'm going to take off the criterias that I had on here. Now I'm back to the 4 basic ones I showed you earlier. You might be using 3 or 4, whatever your basic is for every scan you run. That's what you start with. So if I want to add this dollar volume, increasing volume to this scan, you can say crossing up, or you can say greater than. So I take this, I want to create a scan condition, gives us our box, and I want dollar value greater than 0. It's going to be 100. And generally what I do, if I'm crossing up, I will put crossing up 50, meaning going from 0 to 100. And if I'm trying to do a criteria for something that was true becoming false, I do crossing down, and I usually do that as 20. So when I look back at my scans, I realized I wanted to know when this condition went from true to false. So false is 0, true is 100. So if I'm crossing up 50, I know I want it moving to 100. If I'm crossing down 20, I know I want it moving from 100 back to 0. And that's why I use that, and I use it through everything I do. That way, at a glance, if it just says greater than 0, then I know it's not a crossover. In this case, I just want it to be greater than 0. Now, you can add that to the scan by clicking Add To. Got it right here. So now we have dollar value, 30-minute chart, greater than 0. Bunch of stocks, because this is at the close, a lot of stocks had the dollar value up. Okay? Up, a lot of them. And that happens at the close quite often. Okay, now I'm going to show you something. We've got LNC here. We've got the dollar value up on the blue. It's the first bar up. On win, you got 2 bars. So now let me show you this, how I want to scan this. I don't care about one little dollar volume. I'm going to say I want it greater than 0. I can say now. I can say in the last 2 bars, but in the case of this particular one, I want to know if it's growing volume. So I'll say blank bars in a row. I want 2 bars in a row. Hit OK. Now I got 316 symbols a minute ago. Now we only got 127, and LNC is no longer on the list. Only stocks with at least 2 bars in a row are going to be here on growing volume. Now I have a little floating scan that I have scanning 5,000 symbols for growing volume on 5-minute time frame, 2 bars in a row. A lot of times in the boring part of the day, I can glance up and I'll pick up some symbols on there that a lot of times I'll find a trade, and it'll be on some stock that maybe I hadn't even watched. That's why I got it on the 5,000 symbols, and I showed you in the early part of the video where I also have a list called Top 5,000 Filtered, where I filtered the 5,000 down to about 800 by taking average volume and some other filters and created a smaller list, and that's the list I use for that. But now we've got this created, and you got to name it something that means something to you. I'm going to pop my easy scan out and see if I can find that dollar volume scanner for you. I don't see it, but hold on, I'll see what my name of it is. I'm going to duplicate this. I'm just going to open this other. It's called 5-minute volume. No, it's not. It's called 2 bars rising. I'm going to discard all my changes. Still got it over here. Now when I look, here's my dollar value, greater than 50, 2 bars in a row on a 5 minute. And I am scanning 5,000 symbols. So right now, it's a huge amount because it's a close. But in the middle of the day, be 2 or 3 symbols pop up on here. That's all. End of the day, last few bars of the day, you always got high volume either direction. And I'll take this and I'll take it a step further as to it going up or down in price. I'm going to pull up one called 10 minute volume plus. It's got the dollar value on the 10 minute within the last 2 bars. It's not 2 bars in a row, and it's only scanning 400 symbols. And end of the day, you got a bunch. You won't get that many on this one either. But this is how you come up with your names. It's got to tell you what you're doing. And you're going to name your different scenarios and probably abbreviate them because you want to be able to see your names in your scan list when you open your different layout tabs up. You want excuse me, you want to have an idea what you're looking at. So you got to come up with a naming system that helps you know what you're looking at as you've created your scans. I generally do 13M for 13 minutes, 10M for 10 minutes, and so forth. If you're building a scan on a short time frame, on a 13 minute, well, I'm going to throw this away because I don't want to mess up my scan here. Now, okay, I just hit close out and it's stuck. Something hid behind it. Okay, discard changes. That happens a lot. If I'm scanning, like right here, this says now. This is just a condition that I'm telling it's true. It didn't just cross up. It could have been true for 3 bars, but it's true. I've got some other conditions in here as well. If you're scanning short time frame charts, I need to duplicate this before I mess up my scanner. If you're scanning short time frame charts, you need to be multiple bars. And I'm going to show you why. TC2000 just created this year. See if I can just find me a 5-minute scanner. Something I've done recently. This says crossed up the value, so it went from 0 to 100, went from false to true within the last 3 bars. Not in a row, within the last 3 bars. Used to, you could only be the current bar. So if you were scanning crossed up and it crossed up with 2 seconds left on the 5-minute bar, as soon as the time changed, if you were on a streaming scan, you lost the stocks that were there 2 seconds ago. So you only had a window of 5 minutes to see your results. Or if you went from one tab to another and they all refreshed through this means, it would have the stocks that were there right before the bar changed, but you don't see what's coming into the next bar. So in your short time frame scanners, as you build them, like if you're running something on a 2-minute scanner, you want it to be multiple bars. So I've got, and here's another little tip. Okay, I've got this particular what I call my long zone formula, crossing up 50 within the last 3 bars on a 5-minute chart. So I've got 15 minutes that this is going to stay on the scanner. I also have another criteria using the exact same PCF that it is greater than 50 now. So what I've told it is I need my crossover to be true because it's breaking out. It's what the scanner is designed to show me, but I want it to still be true. So if I had something break into a breakout zone, but then it failed, it crossed up within the last 3 bars, but the very next bar it reversed and it's no longer true, I don't need to see it on my scanner. So that's why it's a 2-step process, and I'll show you my chart. It's basically this criteria right here. It's a custom formula I have, very similar to this one, where I took, if I want to build this off my chart, we'll just build it right on here. We'll just duplicate what I did pretty much. I'm going to say bull zone, create a scan, crossing up 50, so I know it went from 0 to 100, became false to true. I'm going to put it on 5 minutes, and I'm going to say within the last 3 bars, add it to my scan right here. Now, the first thing you should do when you're building your scan is get on the right time frame. Then you don't have to modify what you were looking at. So now I've told it that I want my bull zone crossing up 50, false to true, within the last 3 bars on a 5-minute time frame. Now I got to put the other little part in here, that I want my bull zone, create a scan condition, greater than 50. Now add that to my scanner. So what I've told it is, I'm going to take one part out of this right here so I get a few more results. I've told it that my condition is true, and it became true in the last 3 bars, and it's still true. So when I go to this list, I'm going to find my bull zone over here at the far right. Let me move this over here where you can maybe see a little better. This bull zone shifted up in the last 2 bars, or last 3 was our criteria. So any could be the current bar, 1 bar ago, or 2 bars ago, and it's still true. And every one of these is going to have that criteria. This one had a long, actually, let me take these 2 items out. It's a little different. Very close to the same scanner, but it was different a little bit. Okay. Crossed up in the last 2 bars, 3 bars, and still true. Now, this is a case that the reason you put true now. It crossed up, it was there, still true, but a bar ago this went false, so it wouldn't have been on the scanner because it wasn't still true. And these are examples back here. If you're doing the bear zone, the indicator, when it crossed up, it tells me it's true, but it's not going to stay on the scanner because it didn't remain true. When it came back, it told me it's true again. Only for that 1 bar does it stay on the scanner because it didn't remain true. Then it comes back again, and now it stays on the scanner because it remained true. And that's why you do that. And you can take and create your scans from any criteria you put on here. This is a true false statement, custom PCF, like I did on the dollar volume a minute ago. You just go to your chart, bring in your PCFs, pick up your formula, whatever it may be, and then you can do a scan from true to false and add it to your criteria. And this is where you add all kind of stuff and you save that chart as whatever you're doing, builder. So you don't have to look at all this stuff while you're trading, you're just getting it on your scanners. Now I'm going to do a little different one, maybe something like RSI or something, because that's something I don't use, but be a good example of how you can do another method. I'm going to add RSI, which is just an oscillator, and you got your moving average here. So if you want to do the RSI crossing over the 5-period moving average, and this comes in together, that's set up by TC2000, and it's tied to the RSI. So it's plotting a 5-period moving average on this RSI. Now if you wanted to cross the crossover, you could do a scan that way. And then you could also do it on the levels. A lot of people like to scan, like, was it 70? I'm going to add another one. There's another relative strength there too. I saw, see what the difference is. I'm not sure. Let me type in RSI. Oh, I could have swore I saw something a minute ago that said relative strength. Okay, here we go. Oh, this is relative strength versus the SPY. That doesn't matter. Okay, here's our RSI level. Now, as you add these to your charts to scan, you can go right here and say horizontal lines. Add. What do you guys do? 70 and 30. That's something standard. I added both those lines. I can take them and make them dotted so they don't jump out so bad. If you wanted to make the bottom one red, you could. If you make the top one green, you can. And hit OK. Now we've got all this stuff down here we can create scans off of. If you want to know when your RSI crossed above this moving average, you simply say RSI, create a scan condition, and you got to go right here, RSI versus the moving average 5, crossing up. If you want it now, or you want it in the last 2 bars, or maybe you got this on a 10-minute chart and you just want it now, add that to your scan. I'm going to go back in this same scanner and I'm going to delete those other items we had in so we can look at what we're creating. Now we go to Akamai. It says it's crossing up. It's hard to see that. Let's go if we can find one a little more defined. Barely crossing up. It must be just slightly above it. It would have been true here. Now, I don't have any idea why that's on there now. Oh, I'm not on a 10-minute chart. That would be helpful. Hold on. Sorry. Now, it must have went down below and crossed up. Now, we did 1 bar or 2 bars. Can't remember. We just did it now. So that doesn't look like it crossed up now to me, but obviously by their math it did. You can see this one's barely there. And you could also say, okay, I want to know if it's crossing up and it's below the 30 line. So now you can say RSI, create a scan, less than 30. Add to scan. Now you're crossing up and you're less than 30 on your scanner. Now what if you said, well, it might have crossed up and it went through 30? Okay, and that's valid. So it did cross up below 30, but now it's above 30, so it's not on my scan. So I'm going to go in here and say RSI 14 less than 30. And I'm going to change this to X bars ago. So I can change it to the last 2 bars. Hit OK. Now we got more results. So it's crossing up now, but it was less than 30 just a moment ago within the last 2 bars. This one's still less than 30. Doesn't say it has to be less, but it can be above. Here you go. You were down, you're below your oversold line, you're crossing up your moving average, and it just happens to be above the 30 line as well. But within the last 2 bars, it was below the line. You could also do a scan for crossing up the 30 line. Nothing to do with the moving average. Create a scan condition, RSI, crossing up 30. And we're just going to leave it for now, for this moment. And we're going to add it to our scan. Now we're going to go in here and take out some things that we don't care if it crossed the moving average. And we already know if it's crossing up, it had to be less than in the last 2 bars, so you can leave that in or take it out. We got 11 stocks off this scan list, crossing up 30 and have been below in the last 2 bars. And like I said, that wouldn't make any difference. Crossing up 30. Crossing up 30. It could have crossed that 5 moving average several bars ago, like maybe right here. It crossed back way back here 4 or 5 bars ago, and if it didn't quite get back below it again, that's why you wouldn't want that part of your criteria. Crossing up 30. Crossing up 30 was barely below, but it had to be below to cross up it. So we've got several things here. Now we got 11 stocks in this scanned result. I'm going to go in and take this out. Oops, did that wrong. Put the X right here. We still got 11. So you see what I'm showing you? It had to be below it to cross up. So that's why that particular part didn't matter. So if you're looking for something that's crossing up 30, you're trying to do something on a scan, or may have some other criteria with it as well. Like in this case, back here, you could be crossing up 70. So it's breaking out, or it's getting oversold. Well, in this case, since it's crossing up 70 and it's taking out these Bollinger Bands, you got a long run. This is something I scan for a lot, and I use my bull zone. Is part of that criteria is we're breaking out of volatility. We've got a volatility move here. And so you can build your scans any way you want to build them this way, using oscillators, crossing moving averages. Let's do one more. I don't have a moving average on here. Let me just throw the 8 EMA on here. I know this is something a lot of people use. Got it defaults to 50. We're going to change it to 8. We got an 8 period moving average. Now, and I'm going to bold that up a little bit so you can see it better. Let's say you wanted to scan for a stock crossing its 8 moving average. Just take your time, you're right here, create a scan, price history. It's going to go down and find the things that are associated with it. Bollinger Bands, pivot points, anything you want to come up with. There's your VWAP, your moving average. So you can say I'm crossing up my moving average, I'm crossing up my VWAP. either one you wanted to use, and we're going to do the moving average, and we want it within the last 2 bars. We'll add that to our scanner. Now, using our RSI, crossing up through 30 and the moving average, we've got 4 stocks on this list. We're crossing up 30 and we're crossing up the moving average. So you got oversold based on relative strength, crossing up your ADMA. I know a lot of you folks use that. Now, without the minus 30 part in here, it'd be picking up this crossover here, anywhere it crossed over. So we can go take off the relative strength part, and we're just crossing up the ADMA. There's 113 stocks, did that going into close. Nothing to do with the RSI, it's not in our scanner anymore. We got it last 2 bars, so it crossed up down here. Now, if you wanted to do something to where the actual ADMA was changing directions, this is where you come into building your builder, that you don't want to see this junk on your chart when you're trying to trade. I'm going to move some of this stuff down out of the way where we get this chart opened up a little bit more. You can resize all the stuff like you want it and then save it. Alright, now right here we crossed up, right? But let's take the 8 EMA or 8 average. Let's change it to an EMA first, show you how to do that. You can just go right in here, change it to exponential. Now I'm going to take this 8 EMA and I'm going to add a plot to it. I'm going to add another moving average. Now, go in and edit this. It's not coming off the price. Your ADMA is coming off the price. This moving average is following off the 8 EMA. So if we change it to 1, they are the identical price if we put it to exponential. Now if we change it to offset 1, and usually when I do this, like I say, I want to do this on a builder chart because I don't want to see all these lines on my chart later. I'll do a dotted line for my thing, and then what I'll do is I'll name this EMA 8.1. That's 1 bar ago where you were using high 1, high 2. High is a current bar, high 1 is 1 bar ago, high 2 is 2 bar ago. So we're referring to the ADMA 1 bar ago. So I will name this EMA 8.1. Lets me know it's 1 bar ago. So if you wanted to change your scan for your ADMA, changing directions from falling to turning up, regardless, because your price could have been above it, so you didn't get your crossover, but as your ADMA changes directions, you know your price is supposed to be rising. So you could do a scan like this. Create a scan condition, ADMA. We're going to go down and find our association with our dot 1 we just named. That's why we named it, so we can find it. Now we got our ADMA versus the ADMA dot 1 crossing up. You could even do it above if you wanted to, so that you were only looking for stocks in a scanner with some other criteria that the ADMA was rising. You didn't want to fool with one falling. You could do that and say it's above its average. So you do that as long as it's rising or falling, like in this case. We're going to do the cross up for our purposes right this second. So now our criteria early was price history crossing up the 80 EMA, and now we've added I'm not sure I got this right. I'm going to take it back off. I know I changed something because I went from 100 something to 16. Do it again. 80 EMA, create a scan condition, reference to the 80 EMA dot one right here, crossing up, add the scanner, okay, now it's named right. I did something wrong. Exponential moving average 8, price history crossing up 80 EMA dot one on a 10-minute. So now we got our price crossing the 80 EMA, but we got the 80 EMA trying to turn up on every one of these scan results. So we're changing direction. Now if you wanted to go in and take the crossing up part out, just to show you, you get a different answer. You got 17 stocks. So there's one more stock on here than you would have had because that stock had already crossed the 80 EMA prior to it changing direction. So that's why I suggested that, because you might get the one that actually crossed by 2 pennies on the bar before, but not enough to change the direction of the 80 EMA. Now, if you're looking for a stock that's in a downtrend, maybe you're looking for your relative strength oversold, you could use this same setup and say 80 EMA, create a scan condition, go back and find our reference point of the EMA dot one. We just want it below its moving average, so it's falling. We're going to add it over here. We're going to take this other stuff off. So now it's just below. So we got a big list of stocks here. All these 80 EMA is below that dotted line. So you got some falling, like here. You got falling stocks. And so if you wanted, if you had this scan from here to here, it's going to be on here. So now you go back and you say RSI, create a scan, is less than 30. Now you add it. Now you've got stocks that the 80 EMA is falling, it's less than 30. So these are stocks that hadn't changed direction yet. And you can go down and find you some oversold stocks by doing something like that. And I'm going to share one more formula with you, and it'll find this stock right here. And I'm just going to add this from my library. I know a lot of you like to catch stuff off the bottom. Alright, I got low O, which means current bar, 0. Low 1. I got near, but I don't want near, I want on it. Okay, here we go. Low 1, low 2, low O, equal min low 78. I'm going to throw this on this chart. This is my pink line on this chart. The min low 78. I can't see it. It's popped out of my chart here. The value is $138.91, which is the new low it just made. This is on a 10-minute chart. On a 5-minute chart, 78 bars is 1 day. And that's why I use that low 78. And this is a pretty simple formula. I could have it equal to, but I'll say low minus 4 cents is less than or equal to. And the reason I do it in that manner, and I do it for the current bar, 1 bar ago, 2 bars ago. The reason I do it in that manner, so if I have a stock that comes down and almost double bottoms, gets it within a couple of cents and goes the other way, by me saying low minus 4 cents is less than or equal to, if it gets within 4 cents of that line, I'm going to get my alert. I don't want a stock to change directions 4 cents off the previous low because of I got it equal to. I use this type a lot if I'm trying to find lows, but I may take it and put it on a 15-minute chart. And I'm scanning. This is already built in this scan. It's 3 different bars. So any one of the last 3 either was the low, which in this case this line went down, so it created a new low, or it was within 4 cents of the old low. So on this bar it became true, and for 3 bars it would stay on a scanner. So if you're looking for bounce watch type scans, you could use something like that as part of your criteria. And you could take your 8, we're going to take the 8 off, your relative strength, we'll take that off, take both those off. So now we're going to say, actually we're not going to say anything, I just want you to see what we're looking at. Try to find you a bounce right here. I want to see what this RSI is. Alright, right here. Your RSI is already above 30. It's crossing up the 5 moving average. And the last 3 bars was a low. So if you wanted to scan something like that, RSI crossing up the 5 moving average or 4 or 3 or whatever you use, and one of the last 3 bars was making new lows, that would be a good way to set up a scan. Cross over the last 2 bars and something like this is true. In this case, if you had that scan and then the next bar, this RSI crossed back up the 5 moving average, this is going to stay true for 3 bars because we just made the low. This is where you'd pick the scan up coming off the bounce. It could be the first bar after this one. So that's the kind of scans you can set up as well, using multiple criteria. The create scan, RSI, we've done this before, crossing up the 5 moving average. I'd do it at least 2 bars. You could do it right now if you wanted to. Again, the only thing, the drawback there is if it crosses up right now, and right now happens to be 30 seconds before the new bar starts, if you're streaming, you're going to lose that data. Now, if you don't refresh, you're not. So if you don't use the streaming and you want to go in and look for stocks and then have time to work through them and then refresh it yourself on the next bar, you could do that now. And then you take this criteria, create a scan. We just want it greater than 0, so we just say greater than 50. We're going to add it over here. I don't know if we're going to get any or not. Yeah, we got 22. Alright, these are stocks that were making new lows. This has been making new lows all day. And it just crossed up its 5 RSI. Here's another one. Made a low 3 bars ago. Came in on the low, made another new low. So it's going to stay from this point forward 3 bars. So it's still true. And we got the crossover. So there's just several different ways to create scans. Only thing you got to remember is how to save them. Is come up with a system that works for you. And if you like to do different lists, sometimes I have even taken and put a little, not a big S, a little s, and say, okay, I'm scanning my scan list. or I'm scanning a special watch list. So you could do SP or SW. If you got some little name of a list that you're using and you want to know you're using this scan other places as well, but you're using it on a special scan list on a different tab, you could do little things like that to signify the difference. Just saying, here's my scan criteria, here's the name I chose, but I'm doing a different scan list than I normally do. I'm doing the entire 5,000, or I'm doing the high cap 1,000. You could put you a little name next to that M, something to let you know that that's what your scanning list is. That's all I got for you in this video. It's a very long one. I hope it helped you figure out how to set up some scans. We're going to do another video on enhancing these with the columns. You can actually add things in your columns that tell you certain strengths or things you want to know, MACD greater than 0, all kind of little things you can put in here as columns, and even put them underneath as what they call a scan light. So it's not part of your scan conditions, but once you bring up your list, it gives you the ability to do what I've done here. I've got some things on 3-minute, 5-minute, 30-minute that are true on this symbol, and so I can sort my list and to get the ones that are true. I'm not interested in the ones that are not true at the time. My best stocks to look at first are going to meet this criteria, and then you can see here that everything wasn't true. That the 13-minute was true, but the 15-minute wasn't, and the 30-minute on a couple of them is. And this was another criteria I had as a scan light. And so I can go to different symbols first based on what your little columns tell you. And we're going to do another video about adding that. And you can actually take a watch list and add the entire scan that you created as a column. So you could have a watch list in your 5 favorite scans could have a column of their own on your watch list. I'm going to show you how to do that in another video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel. If you're looking for a place to day trade, come over to daytradersetups.com. You can get you a free trial, see if you like our chat room. And traders, don't forget, if you're a beginner or you've been trading and you want to place your account on hold and start paper trading till you get a handle on this and get you a daily profit pattern going, you can go to papertrading.daytradersetups.com. It's going to take you to this page. It tells you a little about the plan. You click to go to TC2000, or you can link there from our TC2000 training page. There's also a link to take you to TC2000, and you're going to land on this page right here. You want to sign up for this gold package, $29.99 a month, and you're going to receive $25 discount from Day Trader Setups when you set up your account. And when you get there, you're going to want to add the $14.99 US real-time data plan, so you have a total bill of $44.98. You're going to get $25 off your first month, and you'll be paper trading with power, 5,000 symbols, scanners, charts, no data limitations on your symbols. Thanks. Just wanted to take a moment to thank you for watching our videos and ask you to subscribe to our channel. You can, of course, use the subscribe button, or you can type join.daytradersetups.com to subscribe. Also, you can follow us on Twitter at DayTraderSetups and visit our website at daytradersetups.com.